first grade friends, it's Miss Lee here, and today we're going to reread a story we read at the beginning of the school year during our second unit called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And if you remember this story, it was about this boy, William. It was a true story. He was a real person, or is a real person, who constructed this windmill to help his village meet their energy needs. When we read this book the first time, we were looking at different types of energy. Today, when you listen to the story, I want you to pay attention to the different needs and wants of both William and the people of his community and what he does to help them meet those needs and wants. So this was written by William Kumkwamba, who is this boy, and Brian Mueller, and pictures by Elizabeth Zunin. Here's the title page, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. In a small village in Malawi, where people had no money for lights, nightfall came quickly and hurried poor farmers to bed. But for William, the darkness was best for dreaming. He dreamed of building things and taking them apart, like the trucks with bottle cap wheels parked under his bed and pieces of radio that he'd crack open and wonder, if I can hear the music, then where is the band? His grandpa's tales of magic also whispered in the pitch black of his room. Witch planes passed through the window while ghost dancers twirled around the room as if 100 men were inside their bodies. So he dreamt a lot about a lot of different things. Okay, on this page, pay attention to what some of the wants and needs of the people in the village might be. At dawn in the fields, William scanned the maze rows for magical beings, then wondered as a truck rumbled past, how does the engine make it go? Pay attention where you throw that hoe, his father shouted. You'll cut off your foot. For all its power over dancers and flying things, magic could not bring the rain. Without water, the sun rose angry each morning and scorched the fields, turning the maize into dust. Without food, Malawi began to starve. I wonder what they are needing right now. Soon William's father gathered the children and said, "From now on we eat only 1 meal per day. Make it last." In the evenings they sat around the lantern and ate their handful, watching hungry people pass like spirits along the roads. Money also disappeared with the rain. "Papani," his father said, "I am sorry. You will have to drop out of school." Now William stood on the road and watched the lucky students pass, alone with the monster in his belly and the lump in his throat. For weeks he sulked under the mango tree until he remembered the library down the road, a gift from the Americans. So not only do they only get to eat once a day, he can no longer afford to go to school. So take a second and think about what William's wants and needs could be right now. He found science books filled with brilliant pictures. With his English dictionary close by, William put together how engines moved those big trucks and how radios pulled their music from the sky. But the greatest picture of all was a machine taller than the tallest tree with blades like a fan. A giant pinwheel? Something to catch magic? Slowly he built the sentence, "Windmills can produce electricity and pump water." He closed his eyes and saw a windmill outside his home, pulling electricity from the breeze and bringing light to the dark valley. So even though he couldn't go to school, William was able to meet his needs of an education by going to the library and teaching himself, kind of like you're having to teach yourself at home right now. He saw the machine drawing cool water from the ground, sending it gushing through the thirsty fields, turning the maize tall and green, even when farmers' prayers for rain went unanswered. This windmill was more than a machine. It was a weapon to fight hunger. Majesty a Mempho, he whispered. I will build electric wind. In the junkyard, pieces appeared like rusted treasures in the tall grass. A tractor fan, some pipe, and bearings and bolts that required every muscle to remove. Tonga, he'd shout to the birds and spiders holding up his prize, but as William dragged his metals home, people called out, This boy is Masala. Only crazy people play with trash. But he's being resourceful and trying to meet the needs of the community. After many weeks, William arranged his pieces in the dirt. A broken bicycle, rusted bottle caps, and plastic pipe, even a small generator that powered a headlight on a bike. For 3 days he bolted, banged, and tinkered, while chickens squawked and dogs barked and neighbors shook their heads saying, What's Masala doing now? So they all think he's being silly and crazy. They don't believe he's going to be able to do it. His cousin Geoffrey and his best friend Gilbert soon appeared. Muli Bwanji, they greeted. Can we help with electric wind? Grab your pangas and follow me, he said, and took them into the forest. Together they swung their sharp blades into the trunks of blue gum trees, then hammered them together to make the tower. Standing atop, William shouted, Bring it up, while the boys tugged and heaved. A crowd gathered below and gazed at the strange machine that now leaned and wobbled like a clumsy giraffe. Some giggled, others teased, but William waited for the wind. So even though they're laughing and giggling at him, William is still believing in his windmill. I wonder what learner profile traits he's exhibiting right now. Like always, it came. First a breeze, then a gusting gale. Whoops! Nancy Drew wants to hear the story. The tower swayed and the blades spun around. Hi, Nancy. Bye, Nancy. With sore hands once slowed by hunger and darkness, William connected wires to a small bulb which flickered at first, then surged as bright as the sun. Tonga, he shouted, I have made electric wind. Wachita bueno, a man yelled. Well done. As the doubters clapped and cheered, William knew he had just begun. Light could not fill empty bellies, but another windmill could soak the dry ground, creating food where once there was none. Majetsi a Fepo, electric wind, can feed my country, William thought. Miss Lee is not quite sure how to pronounce those words. And that was the strongest magic of all. So take a second and look at this picture. And I want you to think about the wants and needs that William and his village had at the beginning of the story. Now that this story is done, go back to your Google Classroom and go to the flip grid about William, the boy who harnessed the wind, and get ready to answer some questions about the wants and needs of his community. Thanks for listening.